Okay, my staff is telling me that we are all good to go. Hopefully the magic of technology will actually hold on for us as we're going on here. So again, welcome to How to Know If a Man Really Loves You. 7 simple questions that prove how he really feels. A special webinar presentation by Michael Fiore and Digital Romance Inc. Digital Romance Inc. being the company that we have here. Hold on one second. We have officially reached 1,001 attendees on the webinar, so nobody else is getting on. And if you leave, you're not going to get on again. So let me make sure that's not going to tell me that a billion times as we go, and we'll get going. Here we go. Before we get started, quick warning. Like I said, we have a lot of people, women, who wanted to get on this call, including a really long waiting list. Like I said before, we had 4,900 and something women who wanted to get on this call. If you leave the presentation for any reason, you will not be able to get back on. I personally apologize for that. I cannot control the magic of technology on this. GoToWebinar, which is a great service that we use, only allows 1,000 women or 1,000 people, not just women, on a call at a given time. And obviously this is a really hot topic. Obviously understanding how a man really feels about you, being able to basically read a man's mind and know how he feels is something a lot of women are interested in. Also, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to have something kind of cool for you that will completely alter the way you interact with men forever, and will have the man of your dreams chasing you, so stick around. Also, I'm going to promise you right now that after we are done with the presentation part of this, I'm going to spend as much time as I can, up to an hour I would say, answering your questions. So if you have particular questions that you want answered, I'm right here, and I'm going to do everything I can to give them to you. Obviously, with 1,000 women on the call, I might not be able to get to every single question, but a lot of the questions are going to be similar, I promise, and we'll go from there. So let's get rocking and rolling with the actual content here. Before we get going, who am I and why am I doing this call? Now, most of the folks who are on here probably know who I am. Maybe you've been on my email list. Maybe you've gotten one of my products or seen me on television. But really briefly, I'm Michael Fiore. I'm an internationally known relationship expert, which I do have one ex-girlfriend who finds that kind of hilarious, but lots of others who think it's a great thing. I'm also an Amazon and Wall Street Journal best-selling author for my Make Him Beg to Be Your Boyfriend in 6 Simple Steps book. That book was #1 in love and relationships on Amazon for over 3 months. I'm also an incredibly dedicated boyfriend. That picture you see right there of me in the red Elvis suit, that is in fact me kissing my beautiful girlfriend, whose name I'm not going to mention because I always promise her I won't give away too much details. And most importantly, above and beyond everything else, the reason I'm doing this call is because I'm a guy. And I'm a guy who actually really, really wants to help women understand men and help women have the best possible relationships with men and who men actually are. One of the things we're going to talk about is some myths that women fall for about who men are supposed to be, just like men fall for myths about who women are supposed to be. So why am I doing this call for my list of people here? The answer is because I kind of have to. See, several months ago, I sent one simple but powerful question to my email list of over 100,000 women. What was the question? If you had telepathy and could read the mind of any man, what's the one thing you would desperately want to know? If you didn't get that survey, think about it right now. What is the one thing that you would desperately want to know if you had telepathy and could read the minds of men? And we got hundreds and hundreds of responses to that question. Responses such as, why does he look at other women? Why do men lie? Would he cheat on me? Is he cheating on me now? Why doesn't he talk to me? Why does he get so quiet? Why does he look at porn? Am I not enough for him? What does he think about me? Things like that. But one devastating question came up more than all of the others. In fact, this one question came up 10 times as often as the next one, with literally hundreds of women asking it in dozens of different ways. Now, can you guess what the question was? I bet you can. Because the question was, does he really love me? And I remember when we first did this survey and sent it out, I was talking to my staff, and I was kind of heartbroken, personally, because I kept looking at all the responses, and again and again and again, it showed all of these women saying, how do I know he loves me? Does he really love me? Does he really care about me? Or is he just using me? Is he just kind of stringing me along from there? And it broke my heart to see that so many women were in relationships where either the man was doing an awful job of showing how he really felt, or the woman was doing an awful job of reading the signals that their man was actually giving about how he actually feels, because men don't always give signals the way that women want them to. So, like I said, reading these responses from desperate women broke my heart and made me realize two things. There are a lot of guys out there who are really awful at letting women know how they truly feel about her. I know a lot of these guys myself. I even used to be one myself until I kind of figured these things out. And number two, a lot of women are making a fundamental mistake that makes it impossible to ever have a truly happy relationship with a great guy. They're either giving their love to a man who doesn't deserve it, pretty common, or are sabotaging their relationships by not seeing the signs of their guy's incredible devotion. And if you keep making this mistake, if you don't learn what I'm going to teach you about men and the unconscious ways we express love for a woman right here, right now, you're going to end up old and bitter and victimized and lonely and full of regret, like so many women who fell for the lies about men you've been fed since you were a little girl. In fact, I'm sure you can think of women like that who you already know, maybe even women you're related to, women who never found their Prince Charming, who spent years in awful relationships, who never had the love they deserved and are angry about it now, or worse yet, women who found incredible love, who found great men, but didn't know it and let it slip through their fingers and who never got it back. Now, personally, I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to be happy. I want you to have the kind of love affair they make movies about. And I want you to have an amazing relationship where you feel truly loved and adored the way you're supposed to, where you're with a man who really gets you, loves you, keeps you safe, and celebrates you. So here's what I'm going to do. Over the next 20 minutes of this presentation or so, I'm going to give you a sequence of 7 simple questions you can ask yourself to kill doubt and anxiety, and know with almost 100% certainty whether the guy you're with or are dating truly cares about you, truly loves you, or if he's just using you or he's just stringing you along. Just ask yourself these 7 questions and be honest about the answers, because it's very easy to lie to yourself about these things. And you'll know if you're dealing with your very own Prince Charming, who truly adores you and you should give yourself to, or a douchebag you should walk away from and never think about again. Before we get into the steps, though, we have to cover a few really important concepts about love and about men. And I recommend you take notes on these, because this is actually the stuff that I think is going to change your viewpoint on men and on love in a really important way. So concept number 1 is that a woman's insecurity can kill a man's love like poison on a flower. A woman's insecurity can kill a man's love like poison on a flower. What do I mean by that? Let's talk about what men say when you're not listening. Someday I'm just going to release a whole bunch of stuff about conversations I've had with guys talking about the things that we say to other men that we would never say to women. But here's a few brief answers I got to a survey I sent to men when I was asking them questions about what do they really, really want women to understand about men. And the first one is, it kills me when I tell her I love her and she doesn't believe me. I got variations of that over and over again. So many guys, really good guys, who just aren't as verbal, who aren't as good at communicating as women are, because men in general are not as good at communicating as women are, who find themselves devastated because no matter how much they try to show a woman that they really do love her, she simply won't accept it. Very, very common. Next we have, she's always asking me if I love her, and no matter what I say, she doesn't believe me. I hate it. Hate it. It makes me wonder why I'm with her in the first place. And again, we got this one from a really nice guy, I think he was about 45 in the middle of the country somewhere, saying that, you know, he has a girlfriend, I think it was actually a wife, who constantly is like, do you really love me? Do you really love me? Do you really love me? And it killed his love for her. Her lack of confidence, her lack of security. Now, it is totally possible that he was in some way responsible for that, but nonetheless, her constantly asking him, do you love me, do you love me, killed his love for her. And like I said, constant toxic insecurity and neediness, constantly needing a man to prove how much he loves you and refusing to believe him no matter what he does or what he says is devastating to a man's ego, destroys his sense of masculine power and pride, and quickly drains the love out of him like water from a sieve. And I know this because I've been there. And here's my own sad story.